Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be going over three common mistakes people make when writing. Those are comma splices, run-on sentences, and sentence fragments. Once you master these, your clarity when you write will improve and you'll recognize them so much easier, and it'll make your writing just so much better than before. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll know when you make those errors and how you can identify them and fix them. So first, a comma splice. This is when you have two ideas. They could be broken up into separate sentences, and instead they are joined by a comma. So, for example, here, this first example, I had meticulously prepared my research notes, comma, I was still unprepared for the professor's questions. That right there is a comma splice. You see, there is space right there. Instead of a comma, you could put a period. This has two different ideas being brought into one sentence. And here I have an example of a way to fix this, which is by using a period, and another example with using a semicolon. Now, the other mistake that we're going to be talking about is a run-on sentence. This happens when, just like a comma splice, you have a sentence that could be broken up into two, but they're not joined with any punctuation. And so comma splices will have a comma. This just doesn't have any. Comma splices and run-ons are similar to each other, and they are technically a part of the same family if you were to break it into that. Except the only thing is a comma splice has a comma, as where a run-on doesn't have anything. So right here for the example I wrote, the lecture extended well beyond its scheduled time. I struggled to maintain focus throughout the discussion. As you read this out loud, it sounds odd. It sounds like it doesn't belong, like there's something missing. That's because they're supposed to be broken up into two. This is a run-on sentence. Even Google Docs caught it here, where between time I struggled, there should be a period. So now it'll sound more clear. The lecture extended well beyond its scheduled time. I struggled to maintain focus throughout the discussion. That right there helps to make your writing a lot more clear and easy to read. And then another example of a way you could fix this is by using a semicolon, because that's another way that you can join two ideas. It's stronger than just a comma as well, so it won't be as it says a comma splice. And then the last thing I have here is a sentence fragment. A sentence fragment is pretty much where a group of words you have, it looks like a sentence, but it's incomplete. It's missing a subject, a verb, or a complete thought, or it could just be missing all of them. For example, this one, unable to locate the primary source of data. That one is a sentence fragment. That one is missing a subject. It should be, I was unable to locate the primary source of the data. And then we have another example here where this is missing a verb. The most compelling argument presented in the seminar. There is no verb. That's an incomplete sentence. It's not explaining what that argument was or giving any idea of what it was. So a correction would be the most compelling argument presented in the seminar was the analysis of historical context. So those three are big mistakes a lot of people make without realizing it. And a few tips to help recognize it when you make them is reading what you say or what you write out loud. If you're reading what you write aloud, you can really enunciate what you're trying to say, which allows you to make note of all the mistakes you make a lot easier. You'll start to recognize the patterns that you make when you have those mistakes there, and it'll make it so much easier to fix them. Another tip is when you have like a comma splice, just remember a comma isn't enough. A comma can't just take the place of a period or of a semicolon. That's not as strong of a punctuation as a period or a semicolon. Run on sentences, those ones is best when you read them out loud because when people read aloud, it helps to also know when like you should pause naturally, or if you're just reading and reading and reading and there's no natural pause, it just feels like odd to read aloud. And for a fragment, it's just when you're missing a verb, a subject, you'll read it and it'll just feel like it's missing something because it is. It doesn't have what it needs to have to be a complete sentence. So a comma splice is just two independent sentences and joined together by a comma, which isn't strong enough. A run on is two independent sentences with no punctuation or anything to combine the two. And a fragment is an incomplete sentence that's missing a subject, a verb, or just a full idea behind it. So, yeah, I hope that helps you guys start to recognize what you're writing and all the mistakes. I'm sure it'll help you guys become better writers. Hope you guys have a good day.